What's up, everybody? Time for some more rSpace. Am I the a-hole for calling the police on my fiancé? My fiancé, 28 male, and I, 30 female, have been together for 3 years. I used to live close to work and used public transportation, but after I moved into his house, which is hours away from work, I bought myself a car since I'm a nurse, and also since there isn't any hospitals close to where we live that I could transfer to. My fiancé's car hasn't been working for close to 2 months now. It required so much money to get it fixed, and he refused my financial help when I offered it. Instead, he would ask to use my car every now and then, and I agreed as long as it's when I'm not working, and also, since he only uses it for trips to the supermarket, etc. On New Year's Eve, he told me he wanted to use my car to go hang out with his friends and celebrate, but I declined because I had to cover a night shift and needed my car to travel to work. He insisted and even suggested I take the night off or swap shifts with another nurse, but I couldn't do that last minute. I thought he dropped it then, but when I went into the shower and got out, I couldn't find him, nor my car. I freaked out and started calling for half an hour, but he didn't answer me. I tried again till one of his friends picked up. I demanded he give the phone to my fiancé, but he said they were out and confirmed that he took my car and told me that my fiancé said that it's better that I skip my shift and he'll be back with my car later. I couldn't take it. I felt so enraged. I had my fiancé on the phone telling him I did not consent for him to take my car to go hang out with friends and said I'd call the police to get it back if he refused to come back with it. But he didn't take me seriously. So I ended up calling the police, and he and his friends were picked up at the bar where they were hanging out, then were taken to the police department. I got my car from there and still went to my shift. My fiancé was let go hours after I left and blew up my phone with missed calls and texts about how I was out of my mind to call the police on him and put him in this situation. I did not respond, but when I got off work the next day, we got into an argument and he said he couldn't believe I'd do this to him, but I told him he made me do this, to which he responded that I was petty and callous because not only did I ruin his New Year's celebration, but all his friends aren't speaking to him after I put them in this situation as well, and then he kept giving me silence about it. I did not consider this a form of theft, especially since he went behind my back after getting a no from me, but he was shocked that it even implied that he was a thief and said what's yours is mine and vice versa, so I shouldn't be using the terms theft and stealing. First response from EMCCM. Not the a-hole. Girl, why are you with a man who cannot take care of his own basic needs and insists that you call off work so he can go party? He is using you and you can do way better. Do not offer financial help to people like this either. He has money to go out with his friends, then he has money for a car. ETA, his friends put themselves into this situation by getting into a stolen car. Do you really think they were all sitting around laughing at you before this happened? Another judgment from a Duncan 22310. +1. Please, oh please, tell us you've dumped him. He has shown you who he is. Believe him. He has zero respect for you, your needs, or your property. You would experience more of this in the future. Is this how you want to live your life? And his friends are just like him. You deserve so much more. Not the a-hole. Thrawn Girl responds next. He got you to move away from public transport and work opportunities into his house. Refuses to fix his car, so there's now only one between you. Didn't listen to your no, took your car without permission, endangered your job by forcing you to miss New Year's Eve shift when there is no way you could get cover, yelled at you when he was in the wrong, didn't defend you to his friends, is now giving you the silent treatment. No, you are not the a-hole, but your boyfriend is giving off some warning signs that you should look at very closely before marrying him. Last judgment from YankGirl13. Not the a-hole. Please leave him. He's a thief that belittles your job if he thinks you can call out as a nurse just so he can go out with his friends. What about his friends? Don't they have cars? P.S. Thank you for being a nurse. Moving on. Am I the a-hole for getting my job back to get out of taking care of my husband's autistic niece? My husband, 30 male, became a legal guardian to his sister's daughter, 17 female, 2 months ago. She lost her single mom last year. My in-laws took her in, but they were too old. That was when my husband became her legal guardian despite my concerns. He told me that he would take care of her completely. We got married a year ago after 15 years of dating. I had a very successful career in a very physically and mentally demanding field. I had to travel a lot. We wanted to start a family and I agreed to be a stay-at-home mom. I quit my job a few months into the marriage when I got pregnant. Sadly, I had a miscarriage. Then his sister died and everything is on hold. In the meantime, I took a part-time job in a related field which allows remote work so that I am not bored out of my mind. My sister-in-law was a nurse. She quit her job to take care of her daughter full-time. Her daughter has a variety of issues including nonverbal autism, a series of developmental disorder like dyslexia, and severe sensory issues. My husband says that he does most of the work, but he doesn't. Since I am working from home part-time, most of the caretaking falls on me. She gets angry and has meltdowns all the time. She doesn't like the food I make, and most of the time she ends up throwing the food at the floor or at me. I am at my wit's end, and it's just so emotionally exhausting. Around December 15th, my husband was working late and asked me to take care of dinner. She is very picky about food. The slightest change in texture or taste from what she is used to can cause a meltdown. She threw the plate at my feet, and I ended up bleeding. At that point, I called my husband and asked him to be home ASAP. He said he wouldn't be able to. I went up to my room and told him I am not dealing with this anymore. He came hours later and she was still crying. He was absolutely furious at me. He called me heartless and irresponsible. I told him I have had enough of both of their ungrateful behavior and told him that I am going to my mom's. I wouldn't be back until New Year's. He panicked and tried to apologize, but I left. He called me every day asking me to come back. I finally came back and he told me my stunt had forced him to use all his available leaves to stay home with her. He told me that he was glad I was back. I told him that I contacted my former company and got my old job back and it starts next Monday. It is in office and requires a lot of travel. He asked me who was supposed to stay home, as she cannot be left alone. He has no more leaves and full-time caretakers are too expensive. I told him he promised to take care of everything when he became her guardian and that it was his problem. As you can guess, my family supports me and his family thinks I am being extremely selfish. So I'm asking judgment from impartial strangers. Am I the a-hole in this situation? First judgment from Resolute Muse. Not the a-hole. Your husband likes being the hero but doesn't have a clue as to how to do the actual work, so he just left it all to you. You have been sorely taken advantage of, and I don't think you are qualified to handle this level of need. Your niece needs expert help. By referring to your need for a break as a stunt, it's clear he views you as having had a temper tantrum, and he has graciously allowed you to get over your snit, but expects compliance from now on. It has also given you a preview of what parenthood will be. You do the work, he gets to enjoy the hour or two of happy, fed, and bathed child that he can play with and hand back. Next up, from Good Girl's Grace. Taking care of a special needs child requires some serious work. OP's husband just wants the good things about having a child, but hands all of the real work to her. He told her he would be the one to take care of her completely, but flipped out when the crap begins. Caretaker burnout is very real. Referring to OP's need for a break as a stunt just shows how little he respects and appreciates her work, as well as his limited understanding of what it takes to care for a special needs child. OP, you're not heartless or irresponsible. You took care of a child that wasn't your responsibility. That alone makes you far better than your hubby. You were literally injured taking care of her, but all he cares about is how you didn't do what he promised to do. Get your job back. He's her legal guardian. He has to, and will, take care of her. He's being massively ungrateful. I feel bad for your husband's niece. Hopefully she gets the help and care she needs. Another quick judgment from LifeWealth 3399. Info why can't he stay home and take care of her, like you were? He did say he would take care of everything. One last judgment from EB112233. Hopping on the top comment. What is the long-term plan care for your niece? If she needs full-time care, how long will she be living at your home with the two of you? At her age, it's time to start thinking about what happens as she becomes a legal adult. She should have disability payments and care options. Occupational therapist at home, group home that builds towards independence she can have. Moving on. Am I the a-hole for watching and doing nothing to help my husband when he was extremely ill? My 27 female husband, Tim, 36 male, has a serious dairy allergy. I'm talking about an actual immune system reaction, not intolerance. His allergy is serious enough to cause acute enterocolitis, but he hasn't needed an EpiPen since he was a kid. I work full-time and also have some seasonal work this holiday season because Tim has been without work and money has been very tight. As a result, I barely get to rest. The holidays are especially hard, and I found myself getting just one day off every 2 weeks for almost 2 months straight. As you can imagine, the day off means the universe to me. Now, Tim loves dairy and will sometimes intentionally eat things which trigger his allergy. Lately, it's gotten out of hand, with him going from one risky meal every 4 to 6 months to every 2 or so weeks. In fact, it always seemed to coincidentally line up with my time off, and I find myself spending my one day taking care of him. Last week, I finally asked him if he was intentionally timing it up to line up with my day off. I fully expected him to say no, but he admitted that he was doing it to make sure that he'd have a nurse. and so he'd have someone close by in case he had an especially adverse reaction and needed a hospital. I was livid and told him that he was selfish, robbing me of my rest. I said that if he made himself sick again, I wouldn't take care of him. I'm exhausted and I need to decompress. He didn't say much, so I thought he'd heard me. Fast forward to Friday night. I get home from work, and a few minutes in, Tim gets a pizza delivered. I ask him why, when I'm making dinner, and he shrugs. I ask if a large garlic Alfredo pizza is worth the pain, and remind him that I won't be giving up my rest day again. He smirks and eats an entire slice while grinning at me. I left it at that and went back to my dinner. Predictably, he got sick, profusely vomiting, retching and groaning from the intense cramping and diarrhea. I slept in the guest room to get away from the sound and smell. He called for me several times and I repeatedly told him no. Hours later, he was still sick and woke me up at the crack of dawn to go get him Pedialyte and meds because he was very dehydrated and still in pain. I told him to order it in and asked him to get out and let me sleep. He was still whimpering when I eventually got up to shower and eat. Again, I did nothing to help or confront him. By the evening, he was sulking, and by morning when I had to work, he was enraged. He yelled, and by the end of the day, he'd told our friends and family that he nearly died and I neglected him. His family accused me of passively trying to kill him. His mom called, shouting that he could have had a life-threatening reaction due to my petty actions, and that I'm a crap wife for not minding his health. I'm starting to feel guilty because she's right, and he could have been seriously hurt. First judgment from Mongoose Advanced 5301. Not the a-hole. You'd think on your only day off, he would want to spend some actual time with you and not puking and crapping all day. I hope it was a wake-up call to him. Next time he eats that pizza, smiling, grab your phone and take a video to send to his mom to let her know he's going to need her assistance tomorrow. Next judgment from The Plant Murderer. This right here. This was my first thought. Instead of actually hanging out with you on your day off, he's giving himself the craps and expecting you to baby him. I'm sure your husband has some redeeming qualities, but right now, he sucks, and so does his family. I hope you get some good rest on your next day off. Maybe treat yourself to a day of doing your favorite thing away from home. Sorry your husband is being so selfish. Definitely not the a-hole. Next judgment from Good Girl's Grace. He smirks and eats an entire slice while grinning at me. Dude knows exactly what he was doing. He wasn't forced to eat the pizza or forgot about his allergy. He did it on purpose to try and trick OP into caring for him on her one day off. He triggered it deliberately. His illness is nothing more than a manipulative attempt to force OP to baby him. This man is willing to risk his own life so he could force his wife to spend her break on him? That's so immature, manipulative, and frankly disturbing. Next one from BeckDog19. Not the a-hole. And reading this was honestly disturbing. This man is willing to risk his own life to manipulate you into taking care of him? Is that really someone you want to be married to? Lastly, from Anon974683. My unemployed husband, who's almost 10 years older than me, is purposely triggering his allergy and running crying to his mummy. Am I the a-hole? She needs a therapist and a lawyer, and to be super careful about her birth control.